to completely immerse ourselves into a story and be a part of it is a gift that no one has really ever thought of in that direct way before. You know, people go to Comic-Con, there's a whole culture of dressing up as different characters you like, and how amazing that someone created a concept where you could literally be directly in the story. That's why I believe in what you're doing, and I'm really excited to be a part of it and grateful to be a part of it. Thank you.
Oh, shucks. Our day one action choreographer and also cast member, Maximilian Chen.
I started off with a few core people, and then I branched out into a lot of people. It's kind of wild. So a lot of people I don't even know. They're all over the place. So it's been a lot of fun. It's cool just like an experience, being on the set, trying to figure out how to put moves together for the camera and stuff like that, and hanging out with my boys. It was a good time. I don't know what you were talking about. That's pretty much it for me. Unless you have any other questions.
I should clarify that Max and creator share the Urban Action Showcase Award for Justice for Hire last year. So they made an action scene together, I think recreating the Neo and Morpheus training sequence from The Matrix from last year. So that was really cool, and they did it totally MMA style. So really great stuff. And we're going to announce that winner from the previous from the last three today in a few moments. But again, guys, I want to open this up and to even, like I said, I want to frame this personally. I believe that for me to be to help lead with Justice for Hire, that we need this next season cut. So I'm likely going to go dark for a few months on cutting this series, which might mean less communication on social, and I've been shifting into that in the last few weeks. Actually, it was actually more challenging to promote even this event because of some of those personal shifts and recognizing them. I always want to be vulnerable when it comes to when it comes to what you guys might need from me from a leadership standpoint, and any suggestions in all of them to help make the Justice for Hire community where bring it to where it can be and where it should be. I'm open for. So, so I just want to let you guys know you can grab a mic and say that, because this is all about transparency, and this is the kind of, I think, ecosystem we need in Hollywood. Otherwise, we'll get more of the same stuff, which is, a big veil, keeping people out. So we don't want to do that. I feel like Vince has got something to say.
I definitely believe in what he's saying regarding this decentralized ecosystem and in regards of turning the pyramid power upside down. And I think that's why Web3 and crypto is becoming popular, because everyone wants that. And so, I think we should do our part, in creating content, just in general. Let's just create more in balance with consuming, that's what I want to say.
I started acting before Instagram. Instagram used to be just an app for photographers, professional photographers, when it kind of started out, and then it changed the world pretty much. So I remember starting acting when we had to send our audition tapes in the mail, and now Instagram has exposed us to incredible talents from around the world, and TikTok and social media, that are sometimes they're 1,000 times better than the talent we actually have come to grow up with and know. I mean, I follow a couple of accounts that they're hysterical, and I know I could always go to those accounts to brighten up my mood. So I do really think that this is leaning into the future of where everything's probably going to go, and it's also just pretty economical and smart to think of the audience as talent, because they are. I mean, Comic-Con, people create these incredible costumes, makeup, and they are fans of our world, but how special to directly pull them in. So I think that everything is kind of leaning towards this way. There are the TikTok houses, there's series. People, everything is moving in that direction. So this is kind of a cool thing to fuse things together, you know, before they battle each other out one day, I guess.
The fight to the death.
Yeah. Social media versus Hollywood.
Ooh, that'd actually be a good show to watch.
Well, this isn't really what that is, but it's like kind of a communion of the both of them. But yeah, there you go.
I love that. Actually, like piggybacking off of that a little bit, like I think much of what is being echoed as well is the representation that we get out of doing what we do with Justice for Hire. Like I think about it all the time when people are saying, you know, you're telling a story or you're filming something, you know, you want to write it as if, you know, you're telling your own personal story. And I don't see a lot of that in Hollywood. I mean, I hadn't before, because I don't know how many of y'all have been bit by a spider in high school and didn't gain powers you're expecting to. But that was definitely me. So, I mean, seeing what we're doing with Justice for Hire is really, it really reinforces that idea of telling the stories that are from actual people, you know, as they've said, you know, like actually bringing the audience in and being like, oh, you want to be a part of it? Come on in. You know, it goes from people who might even be afraid in front of the camera. You know, you can go from, you know, being in front of the camera, being a full-on hero to, I want to send heroes on special missions that I like to see portrayed. And I think that is very valuable as what we get out of this community.
Plus, I think it's going to be really cool to see people around town just as superheroes instead of just taking selfies in Saldorini.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think that would be really cool. Plus, there's people who are real heroes and they don't wear capes, and maybe they could be incorporated into it somehow in some kind of plainclothes way, like in Batman. Possibilities are endless.
Just less money.
What's less money?
I said being like Batman, but just less money.
Oh, right.
Hello. So speaking on the fact of being the audience coming on, I was one of those people. I actually found Justice for Hire on TikTok, and I actually wrote to them like, hey, you know, I go to Comic-Con and stuff. So it originally just started out designing a character for the show. I had no intention of being the character. So they were just like, no, make something, yada, yada, yada. Next thing you know, I made a suit. Next thing you know, I'm in the suit. Next thing you know, I'm behind camera. Next thing you know, I'm meeting a whole bunch of people. And it's a really good experience because essentially they can't tell you how to be yourself. Like, you know, with all these other films, Superman has a certain role he has to portray, Batman has a certain role he has to portray, but I can be myself. So essentially, it's not really acting, it's just more of fine-tuning and finding yourself. So that's one thing I do appreciate about it. And yeah, I made my own superhero character, so and we all got action figures, so that makes it even better for me. Like, yeah, I could just.
And you made a soundtrack.
Oh, and I made a soundtrack too. So it also helps express like your whole creativity, and you know, I could say like the world is your canvas. You can make anything anywhere. Like, you don't need a studio. You don't need, you know, a production team. You can make it in your kitchen. You can make it walk in the street. You can just make it with random people. And, you know, the more people jump on, the more work you can see. And, you know, just don't be shy, you know, take a leap of faith and watch how far you can go.
Friends who are really talented to see if they can help you. That's what I did. That's how I made the comic book for Guru for Comic-Con. Actually, I have a few of those with me here as well.
You gotta pump them.
Heck yeah. So if you see me, I'm gonna more than likely hand you one.
So I got to touch on that. So everyone on our platform owns their own character. We're all about community ownership. And we're way before Web3. This is just like spiritually what we feel is right. And we will be transitioning into a more Web3 forward platform in the coming months and years. Well, that's why we're on WeFunder. I'll tell you about that. But, you know, Creator is talking about meeting people where they're at. And that's what we're doing with this concept, Uber for heroes, hire a hero or become one and get paid. That is the premise of Justice for Hire. That is why we have people around the world creating their own characters and making their own stories, because it's really about your neighborhood, what the challenges you deal with in your life and in your surroundings. Those things are stories. And if we have the structure that allows you to say, hey, you know what? If I want to solve that problem, this is how I would do it. If I had no fear of actually taking action to fix something, this is what I would do. That to me is a really important perspective to have when creating your character, because it's not about superpowers. It's not about getting bit by a spider and then all of a sudden you're strong and you can hang on stuff. I love Spider-Man. Not get me wrong. I absolutely love Spider-Man. I really do. But what I'm getting at is that the hero's journey is a personal one, and it's one that each one of us goes through. So it's really just about framing. How do you frame your daily life? I play Jan in the series. I'm also Jan in real life, but in the series, I'm my character is building essentially a vigilante app. And this vigilante app, eventually the story so far, you could read the story so far on our website, and that'll be our first, our next big video to come out that'll summarize all the content that's been made up to this point. But it's really about transitioning from a culture that is telling people don't step up, wait for some form of authority to help you make a decision when you already know what the right thing to do is in your life. We are really, really focused on saying we're transitioning right now from a victim culture or a coward culture to a hero's culture. And that the hero's culture starts with you and the actions that you might take to make the world a better place. And that does not necessarily mean at all violence. And I love action. I love seeing stuff blow up in slow motion. I really do. But we have to be able to build a bridge of understanding that violence is actually the violation of someone's rights, and that that stepping up to challenge that is not violence. It is right action. It is coming from the most aligned place. So I think we have to really contemplate that as a community. This is not just something I'm saying so that we can go and justify a bunch of action scenes. It's really something to bring into our own lives. Where do we feel that someone's natural right is being violated, and how can we help to align that? And this is a daily practice. So, and these are the kind of things that we're going to be dealing with within the show over time. This is not a solution that happens in 2 hours or 40 minutes or 30 minutes. This cannot be solved. The crux for my character is that my character is a former vigilante that realized that you can't save the world on your own. And you can't save the world with a team. You actually need every single human being to be a hero. So how can you do that? Well, we have these apps, and if we had something that just encouraged people to step up and take action, then that's cool. And so every single one of us can be a hero then. So then you find the support system through this app, through Justice for Hire, because JFH is also just for help and just for heroes. So. Oh, triple entendre.
I wanted to emphasize what you said about violence. I think when we're violent, it's really saying I don't know how to communicate what I want to, and the other person isn't hearing me, and so I feel like I have to fight. But if we're able to, a lot of that violent energy, it dissipates, it starts dissolving, and so we can dive into a scenario where two people want to fight. What if there was a bunch of people around them, and they were hey, so what do you want to communicate and what do you want to communicate? And there's a mediator role, and we can communicate. And more than likely, I would say that they wouldn't fight anymore, and they would just, talk it out or something, or find another solution, which is walking away. What's the point of fighting and risking each other's lives, And we can really explore that with this universe, Justice for Hire. And so, yeah, I'm excited to really see what comes out of this universe, how it blooms.
You have to check out Vintage's Wash the Hate video, which was incredibly disruptive for our community. Was it last year? Was it 2020? It was 2020, right?
Yeah.
It was 2020. So he made a video where it's 2 or 3 minutes long, and you think action's going to happen, and what really happens is something so deep in the soul And like, it's just a testament to what's inside of this guy, and I think more of the thinking that we need to see in culture. So just big shout out. Check out Vintage Wash the Hate on Justice. That's actually not just on the app. That's also on YouTube. It's on Instagram. It's on TikTok. So we put it everywhere because we got such a strong response for it. Demetrius really came up and supported it as well, and we did a whole panel around, virtual panel around it with the founder of Wash the Hate, Telly Wong. Shout out to Telly Wong. And just really, really amazing stuff addressing a lot of the Asian-centric hate that was going on a few years ago. And obviously, these things continue now. It's not just when a media push happens. And so, obviously, we want to love each other. But yeah, check it out. Really, really great. Is there any thought, idea, question from anyone who's attending here on what Justice for Hire is? Yep.
Yeah, so me and my friend, we just walked in. So what is the Justice?
It's a cinematic universe that we've built for a community. So essentially we have a cinematic social network, or anything you post as part of a movie or show, and you can access it from justiceforhire.app. And I have some stickers stuff here that I'll pass you, that you can just get the QR code. And then the company is Real World. That is our social film studio. Like, we want to make lots of shows like this. Justice for Hire is our first one. And anybody can invest in what we're doing in our patent pending technology on wefunder.com/realworld. That's REELWURLD. Because we're all about community ownership, and we want the community to have access and ownership of this patent pending technology, because this is just the beginning. So, thank you. Any other question, thought, idea? All right, guys. Well, thank you everybody so much for showing up. Every time, there's always something electric that happens, and I'm just so grateful for each and every one of you guys. So thank you, and thank you, Urban Action Showcase.